Okay, we are starting now the webinar of today. Here are some housekeeping rules, and then we can move to the title. So we are today talking about local industrial hubs for hydrogen, for Power-to-X and beyond. And we are especially looking at the opportunities and challenges for these local hubs. And as an introductory slide for the topic, the next slide will tell you just what was in our webinar invite. So the focus is the hydrogen valleys, local industry symbiosis. And we are really looking forward to see whether these could be used as scalable models for profitability and paving the way for hydrogen deployment. Our agenda today is that we will first have a welcome from CETPartnership and 2 short introductions about previous events. And then we'll have a session about 3 local ecosystems and a presentation about combining bioeconomy and hydrogen ecosystems, and then a discussion session before the summary. So, starting the welcome session, here you can see first introductions of your hosts today. So my name is Hannele Holttinen. I come from Click Innovation, where I'm working for the CETPartnership TRI6 office, and my background is in renewable integration to energy systems from the research sector. My colleague Pia Salokoski will take over for moderating the discussion session later, so I will introduce her actually when she will have her presentation. So now I would like to introduce my colleague from CETPartnership from Swedish Energy Agency, Åsa Berger-Svensvik, who is leading the TRI6 industrial energy systems, has her background in circular economy, and she will now welcome you and tell briefly about CETPartnership. So, Åsa, the floor is yours. Let's have the first slide.
Thank you. So maybe you can, there are 3 sections, you can click them all. So what is CETPartnership? It's a multilateral and strategic partnership of national and also regional research, development and innovation programs in EU and EEA member states and non-EU and EEA partner countries. So CETPartnership supports the implementation of the CET plan, the European Strategic Energy Technology Plan, and with the ultimate objectives in line with REPower EU plan. And this is to achieve a climate neutral society by 2050, diversify Europe's energy supplies, and strengthen Europe's clean energy value chain and making them more sustainable. So how do we do it? We are CETPartnership leverage existing CET plan initiatives. We also align with national energy and climate plans and the recovery and resilience facilities. It consolidates R&D funding from national and also regional sources for diverse energy transition technologies. And also funding comes from national and regional agencies and also the EU Commission. So its goal, an industry-led transition to make Europe a leader in a clean energy innovation and implementation. Next slide, please. So if you look a little bit quick, it's about 30 countries and it's 20 EU member states and approximately 10 associated countries. And we are 47 plus funding partners and agencies. And the European Commissions are the single biggest financing organization. And we have around 100 to 140 million euro per year. And we will have projects until 2027, or calls for projects up to 2027. Next slide, please. So there are 7 transition initiatives. Sorry. And they are different focus areas. There are TRI1, who is integrated net zero emission and energy systems, and we have TRI2 in enhanced zero emission power technologies, and TRI3 is enabling climate neutrality with storage technologies and renewable fuels, and CCU/CCS. And TRI4 is efficient zero emissions heating and cooling solutions. And TRI5 is integrated regional energy system. And TRI6, where we are working, me and Hanli, is integrated industrial energy systems. And then there is integration in the built environment. Next slide, please. So if we look at TRI6, which is integrated industrial energy system, we are targeted the major carbon emitters, but we are not restricted to that. Also, goal is to accelerate in the industrial decarbonization. And this requires, of course, reducing emissions and improving the energy system flexibility. So we have some key strategies that includes emission reduction, and that's through energy efficiency and circular resource use, electrification and green hydrogen. And we have carbon capture and utilization. And this is, of course, including bio-CCU, and also to convert CO2 to useful products and achieve negative emissions. And we are also addressing non-greenhouse gas emissions for full sustainability. And then we have energy system flexibility and resilience. And this is by enabling renewable electricity industry via heat and process storage, and integrating power and heat networks through sector coupling and industrial symbiosis. So our goal is to formulate a clear and collaborative core module and addressing technical and system level solutions for industrial decarbonization, and also enabling joint projects, shared funding, and common demonstration platforms. So we have a joint call for 2026 that is coming up in June. And that's something that we are working together with net zero emission in industries. I think that's maybe one more slide, or is that it? Yes. And here we have some, as I said, the joint call for 2026 June. And here we have some figures about the budgets, and as I mentioned earlier, who is funding. And why it matters is because we support innovation, cross-border cooperation, and climate neutrality. So thank you, and hope for a good today.
Thank you very much, Åsa. Then we are ready to go to the introduction part of this webinar, where we have 2 presentations of previous events. So we'll start with Isabel Cabrita, who is leading the TRI3 focus area on CCU and hydrogen and renewable fuels. Welcome, Isabel. Has a very wide ranging and long background on hydrogen, for example. So, and then after that, I also want to show here that my colleague Pia Moilanen will talk about a CETPartnership event that was also organized in October, regarding demand for green hydrogen. So let's start, Isabel, with your summary on the TRI3 event that you had this autumn.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the presentation, Hannele. I will present some outcomes of a workshop we held in Leipzig in Germany in September with the projects where we had 70 participants. It was quite an interesting gathering where there was some network and we had project pitches, and the aim was actually to find out how the partnership could help projects to have a higher impact and also assess the expectations and the barriers and what the projects thought it had an impact on the technology penetration, especially very innovative or disruptive technologies. We had some conclusions out of the project pitches and the discussions with the project researchers, and they identified a few items that I'm listing, and this is the need to have a multidisciplinary approach when developing new technologies, as there are domains like materials, artificial intelligence, digitalization, etc., and also social issues that are becoming more and more important. And this was quite clear in the discussions, and it was quite interesting to see that even the projects themselves could get the advantage of networking, where some experts on one project could help other projects. The need for infrastructures, and this was very clear also in the case of hydrogen. We also focused on the CO2, as is also a new business, let's put this way, to address in terms of infrastructures to have it stored or utilized. So the need for new business models. The regulations is very important to match even the policy with the timing, a short timing to produce legislation, and the social aspects that I addressed before. Next slide, please. Then we had some, it was tables where there were different groups addressing different areas, where we looked at the bridging the research lab results with the implementation in the real environment. And we could one of the concerns was that the resistance sometimes to certain technologies, and it would be important to have some kind of a strategy to address different types of audiences and to adapt the messages to these audiences in order to for them to understand, to trust, and to receive and welcome these new technologies that we are trying to put in place for this energy system in the future. The way we communicate science to build this trust is very important, and researchers should work on it to have simplification of the outcomes of their research in order for different audiences to understand. The public outreach is a lot more actually than just conveying the information. So we should be aware that they need to be engaged. Is not only producing the technology and expecting that this will be put in place. It has to have social acceptance. Issues like ownership is important, and the participation, and here the active participation of industry was identified as a key way to go. Identify the expectations in a way, and this should be done at all times from the beginning to the end of the project, because sometimes we do these surveys at a certain time and then we use the results, but we don't update. Technology providers was another issue that was considered relevant, as there aren't there. So we need to engage, let's say, manufacturers to receive these technologies, and then to put in place, as well as sometimes there are concerns about certain components or parts of the project, and it's difficult to have these parts to be integrated, and this has to be addressed. And in terms of dissemination, there should be some procedure to convey not only the results, but also the impact, and the life cycle analysis or assessment was identified as one of the tools that could be broadcasted, let's put this way, in terms of results to the audience, so that they see the impact that the technologies or the installations have on the environment and the economy. So these were the let's say the... Sorry?
Yeah, please mute yourselves. There is some disturbance on the lines. And thank you, Isabel. I think we need to move forward now for the next introduction thing. Let's see if we can find...
Hello, everybody. Now I think we have to mute someone. Okay, now. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice. And good morning for everybody from my behalf as well. So my presentation is about the webinar we had on 9th of October, and this topic, or this was focusing on catalyzing green hydrogen markets through EU policy and procurement, and we specifically looked at the steel industry case, or the green primary steel, how creating these lead markets could push also a green hydrogen economy. And what we learned is that green steel, green primary steel, it needs low carbon hydrogen, and therefore it could be potentially big driver for hydrogen demand. Of course, if we are looking then this procurement sector, and thus looking the public construction and infra projects, of course, it's not like the major consumer for green steel, but in case there is this still price premium on the market, public procurers with these public construction projects, like for example building bridges, could create the needed demand and thus also unlock the investments. So kind of give a push for the industry and certainty, so that they start doing these investments that are needed. What we learned also is that trust and transparency matters. And this means that it should be like obvious that we are not talking about greenwashing, that there are really achievements for the environment, for the climate, but also make with these labels and standards for green steel as well as for low carbon hydrogen, the procurement process easier and smoother for the public procurers. So that is very important that we have them in place. Then we discussed about hydrogen valleys roles. And what we learned is that within these hydrogen valleys, we could also develop these procurement criteria and start testing how to do these procurement that could then potentially create this demand for low carbon hydrogen. The webinar recording should be in place in CETP Partnership web pages soon, but it's not there yet. So in case you are interested in looking at the webinar, it will be possible soon. With this slide, I want to show you that, let's see if, it works here, that there is of course other use cases for green hydrogen or hydrogen than this industry and green steel. And with all these other topics, it's worth checking also what kind of demand creation tools there are or there could be in place that then might be good ways to leverage these hydrogen markets. And then this is also already a little bit like introduction for the next sessions. Here are like once more pictures of the most likely value chain combinations in hydrogen valleys. This is by no means specific and the only way you can look this, but just to a little bit kind of be able to categorize these hydrogen valleys and the value chains in the valleys. So I think most common and the early hydrogen valleys, they were built on this hydrogen for mobility. So there is the link to green logistics, specifically quite often to trucks or truck transportation. And here you can see that there is this grid electricity involved, which is usually the case. So although there is in the background this electricity production by renewables, these hydrogen valleys are not totally off-grid, but there is a backup from grid electricity, and it's shown here